Hello and welcome to another episode. Following on from my week with the I-Pace, we've had numerous requests and emails from people asking us to do a range test from full to empty. So, guess what I'm doing tonight? Just charging it to 100%, then I'll be setting off. Don't forget, I'm going to be driving it at 70 miles an hour, real world speeds, real world conditions. Hopefully we'll get some real world results. About 30 minutes later, the I-Pace was up to 100%. I set the heater and my heated seat, had a dash full of zeros, and I was ready to leave. You may notice that I only have 195 miles on the gasometer. That's because the I-Pace has had time to readjust to the owner's driving style, which is similar to mine, and in all honesty is a lot more realistic. Also, I had it set in comfort driving mode as opposed to eco, but I soon corrected that. The first few miles were low speed, driving through town until I could get to the motorway, and that was my plan, to sit on the motorway at 70 miles per hour until the battery was depleted. However, as you can see here, driving down the east side of Coventry, there are some 50 mile per hour restrictions, but only for a few miles. At 25 miles in and at Warwick, just about to get on the M40, the gasometer was spot on to the mile, so I was pretty confident I could get the 200 miles suggested. I was now 40 miles in and I'd had plenty of time to test the lane keep assist, and I have to say, on the motorway it was excellent. I was also enjoying flicking through the different driving options and changing the screen layout, something I'd really like on our Model S. This is my turnaround point. I've driven down to junction 6 of the M40, leaving me a few miles in reserve just in case. And still, the gasometer was spot on. My aim was to get back to the free Instavolt charger in Nuneaton, but I did have a contingency plan of a few alternative chargers just in case. Now 125 miles in and ready to stop, and I had been since the 50 mile mark. Driving for this amount of time and for these distances isn't good for you, and not something I'd do often. With 155 miles covered, I still hadn't got the low battery warning, which I was quite impressed with. I found myself driving around aimlessly to try and use up the range, but at these low speeds it just wasn't happening. So I decided, with 13 miles remaining and 163 miles covered, it was time to get it plugged in, which was going to take nearly 2 hours. Here you can see my actual route. I left home in Hinckley, down onto the M69, around Coventry down the A46 and onto the M40 at Warwick, heading south until junction 6. Then literally carried out the reverse of that, but instead of going home, I went to the Instavolt charger in Nuneaton, which I'm pleased to say was still on free vend. And here are the stats for the journey. Nearly 3 hours and nearly 170 miles. To give you a comparison, the I-Pace has a 90 kWh battery with a usable 84.7 kWh. Our Tesla Model S has a 75 kWh battery with a usable 72.6 kWh. The I-Pace managed 176 real-world miles on a single charge, and in our Tesla I've managed 224 miles to Gretna Green services on one charge. So there is definitely a big efficiency gap. But don't let this put you off, the I-Pace is a great EV, and the I-Pace's range will easily cater for most owners. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow us on Twitter @KatePhantom, and we'll see you next week with another episode.